Imagine this. You're sitting in a two-Michelin-star restaurant, surrounded by 17 of your father's wealthy friends and business partners, and right in the middle of the main course, he stands up, points directly at your face, and declares, "You are a disgrace to this family." What would you do? Fight back? Walk out? Or sit quietly and smile? 3 months ago, my millionaire father orchestrated the most humiliating Thanksgiving of my life, leaving me with a $4,200 restaurant bill while his wealthy friends watched. But what started as my deepest humiliation became his greatest downfall, when 800 business elites witnessed his empire crumble at his own award ceremony. Hello, I'm Savannah Turner, 32 years old, and this is the story of how I taught my father a lesson he'll never forget. If you're watching this, please subscribe and let me know where you are watching from. My father, Travis Mitchell, built Mitchell Holdings into a $280 million real estate empire from the foundation his mother created. To the Boston business community, he was a visionary. To his family, he was a tyrant who measured love in dollar signs. I'd been the family disappointment for exactly 8 years, since the day I turned down the CFO position at his company to teach third grade at Whitmore Academy. My salary? $65,000 a year. My brother Marcus's salary as vice president? $2.3 million plus bonuses that could buy my entire apartment building. "You have a Harvard MBA," Travis reminded me at every family gathering, his voice dripping with disgust. "And you waste it teaching children how to count to 10? The comparisons were relentless. At my cousin's wedding, Marcus just closed a $50 million deal. Savannah taught kids about butterflies. At Christmas dinner, Marcus bought a house in Beacon Hill. Savannah still rents. At my mother's birthday, at least one of my children understands ambition. Each insult was delivered with surgical precision, always in front of an audience. Travis didn't just want to hurt me. He wanted witnesses to my inadequacy. I'd learned to count the minutes at family events. On average, it took 12 minutes before someone mentioned my modest lifestyle, 15 before the salary comparisons began, and 20 before Travis delivered his signature line, "I didn't raise you to be ordinary." But here's what Travis never understood. I wasn't ordinary. I was patient. And for the past 6 months, I'd been documenting everything, every insult, every humiliation, every cruel comparison. My laptop held a folder labeled simply "Insurance," containing 247 files that would soon rewrite our family's entire story. The pattern of emotional abuse stretched back years, each incident carefully orchestrated for maximum damage. On my 30th birthday, Travis handed me a check for $50,000 in front of 40 guests. "For your new life," he announced. "All you have to do is quit teaching and join the family business where you belong." When I tore it up, he told everyone I was too proud to accept help from family. Christmas 2022 was particularly brutal. Travis introduced me to his new business partners as "my daughter," the one who chose poverty over prosperity. He actually used those words. Marcus stood there, uncomfortable but silent, wearing his $5,000 suit, while I stood in my Target dress, feeling like a charity case at my own family celebration. The invitation to this year's Thanksgiving dinner arrived via email with a postscript that made my stomach turn. "Dress appropriately this time. Try not to embarrass me in front of the Harrisons. They're considering a $30 million investment." So why did I still go? Why subject myself to another round of public humiliation? Because Linda Mitchell, my mother, had sent a separate text at 2 a.m. "Please come, sweetheart. It's getting worse. I need you there." And because my therapist had said something that finally clicked, "You keep going back hoping he'll change. But what if you went back to document who he really is?" October had marked a turning point. I'd started saving every email, recording conversations when legally allowed, screenshotting text messages. Travis's cruelty had become so routine, he'd gotten sloppy. He never imagined his disappointment daughter was building a case that would destroy everything he'd built on the backs of others. October 15th changed everything. While helping my mother with Travis's home office computer, he demanded she digitize old tax documents. I noticed discrepancies in the Q3 financial reports, numbers that didn't add up, transfers to offshore accounts labeled as consulting fees. My Harvard MBA might have been wasted on teaching, but I still knew fraud when I saw it. That same week, Rebecca Smith, Travis's executive assistant, sent me a text that made my hands shake. "We need to talk. Away from the office. It's about your father and things you need to know." We met at a Starbucks in Cambridge. Rebecca, usually so polished and professional, looked exhausted. "I've worked for your father for 4 years," she began, sliding a USB drive across the table. "I can't do it anymore. But I can't just quit either. He knows things about my family, threatens to destroy my career if I leave." The USB contained emails, recorded conversations, and photos that painted a picture of a man who wasn't just cruel to his family. He was corrupt to his core. Tax evasion totaling $3.2 million, forged signatures on contracts, and evidence of an affair that had been going on for 2 years, complete with company funds used for business trips to the Bahamas. "Why are you giving this to me?" I asked. "Because you're the only one who might actually do something with it," Rebecca replied. "Marcus won't. He's too dependent on the company. Your mother won't. She's too scared. But you've already lost everything he could take from you. That makes you dangerous." I looked at the USB drive, this tiny object that could topple an empire. 8 years of being called worthless, and I was about to prove my worth in a way Travis never saw coming. The cost of staying silent had been mounting for years, measured not just in dollars, but in damaged souls. My therapy bills alone totaled $12,000 over 3 years. Dr. Martinez had diagnosed me with complex PTSD from chronic emotional abuse. "Family trauma is particularly insidious," she'd explained, "because it comes from people who are supposed to love you unconditionally." My mother, Linda, had developed severe depression, though she hid it behind perfect makeup and designer clothes. I'd found her prescription bottles hidden in the guest bathroom. Xanax, Ambien, Prozac. The woman who once ran charity galas and painted watercolors now spent days in bed, emerging only when Travis demanded her presence as his perfect wife prop. Marcus, my once sweet little brother, had started mimicking Travis's behavior. Last month, he'd berated a junior employee until she cried, then bragged about it at Sunday dinner. "You have to show them who's boss," he'd said, sounding exactly like our father. His wife Sarah had pulled me aside afterward. "I don't recognize him anymore. He's becoming Travis 2.0. But the worst part was watching it affect the next generation. Marcus's children, 7-year-old Emma and 5-year-old James, had started showing signs of anxiety. Emma had told me, "Grandpa says I'm smart like Uncle Marcus, not dreamy like Auntie Sav." She'd said it like it was a compliment, not understanding the poison in those words. "Boundaries aren't punishment," Dr. Martinez had told me in our last session. "They're self-defense. And sometimes, protecting yourself means protecting others too." But there was something worse coming. Something that would make staying silent impossible. Travis was planning to cut me out of the family entirely, and the clock was ticking. November 1st, I saw it with my own eyes. A draft of Travis's new will sitting on his desk when I'd stopped by to drop off Mom's medication. The document was marked confidential, attorney review, but left carelessly in plain sight. One paragraph jumped out. "To my daughter, Savannah Marie Turner, who has chosen to reject the family legacy, I leave the sum of $1 as a reminder of the value she placed on her inheritance." Marcus confirmed my worst fears in a frantic text that night. "Dad's meeting with lawyers next week. He's restructuring everything. The merger with Garrison Properties will dilute Grandma's original shares to nothing. You have maybe 30 days before it's irreversible." My grandmother, Eleanor Mitchell, had built the original company from nothing in the 1960s, a rare female entrepreneur in commercial real estate. Before she died, she'd pulled me aside. "Your father changed when the money came. Don't let him rewrite history." The company has protections I built in. Look for them when you need them. I'd dismissed it as the ramblings of a dying woman. But Rebecca's USB contained something extraordinary: the original incorporation documents from 1967. Buried in Article 47, Section 3, was a clause that could change everything. In the event that the acting CEO is found guilty of felony fraud or fiduciary breach, controlling interest automatically transfers to the whistleblower within the Mitchell family bloodline. Grandma had seen this coming. She'd built a failsafe into the very foundation of the company, knowing that power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. The timeline was clear. Travis would sign the new documents by December 1st. The merger would close by December 20th. If I was going to act, it had to be before his greatest triumph, the Entrepreneur of the Year award ceremony on December 15th. Thanksgiving arrived with unusual November warmth, the kind that makes Boston feel off-kilter. The Sterling Room, perched atop the Prudential Center, gleamed with crystal and candlelight. I arrived at 6:30 p.m. sharp, wearing my best dress, a 3-year-old Ann Taylor piece that had cost me 2 weeks of groceries. "Finally," Travis announced to the room as I entered. "I was beginning to think you'd gotten lost, though I suppose teachers don't often dine at Michelin-starred establishments." 17 faces turned to stare. The Harrisons, potential investors worth $400 million. The Weatherbys from Travis's country club. 3 couples I didn't recognize, all dripping in jewelry that cost more than my annual salary. Marcus caught my eye and subtly shook his head. Later he whispered, "Dad's been drinking since noon. He has something planned." The seating arrangement told me everything. Travis at the head, naturally. Linda to his right, silent as always. Marcus and his family at Travis's left, the position of honor. And me? At the far end, wedged between the bathroom door and a service station, like an afterthought who'd wandered into the wrong party. "Before we begin," Travis stood, raising his glass, "I want to make some toasts." The room quieted. This was Travis Mitchell in his element, commanding attention, controlling the narrative. "To my son Marcus," he began, "who just closed the waterfront development deal. 40 million in pure profit. That's what a Mitchell does. We build empires, not sandcastles." Everyone clapped. Marcus looked uncomfortable. "To my beautiful wife Linda, who understands that a woman's greatest achievement is supporting her husband's vision." Mom's smile was plastic, practiced. Then Travis turned to me, and his eyes held something cruel. "And now," Travis's voice carried across the elegant dining room, "we come to Savannah." The pause stretched like a taut wire. 17 pairs of eyes swiveled between us. Someone's fork clinked against china. 32 years old, unmarried, no children, teaching 8-year-olds their ABCs for, what is it now, 65,000 a year? He laughed, a sound like breaking glass. "I've spent more than that on a watch." Mrs. Harrison shifted uncomfortably. Her husband studied his wine. "You know what the real tragedy is?" Travis continued, warming to his theme. "She could have been somebody. Harvard MBA, top of her class. I pulled strings to get her that education, and she throws it away to play with crayons and construction paper." "Travis," my mother whispered. He ignored her. "Do you want to know what I told the Harrisons about you earlier?" He didn't wait for my answer. "I said I had 2 children, but only one worth mentioning. Emma, my 7-year-old niece, started to cry. Sarah quickly excused herself, taking both children to the restroom." "Some people are meant for greatness," Travis raised his glass toward Marcus. "Others are meant to be cautionary tales. To Savannah, living proof that you can give someone every opportunity and watch them choose mediocrity." The room was silent. Even the waitstaff had frozen. Mr. Harrison cleared his throat. "Perhaps we should order—" "Oh, I'm not done," Travis interrupted. "You see, Savannah thinks she's better than us, more noble, more pure. She thinks teaching children makes her some kind of saint. But saints don't mooch off their families. Saints don't show up to dinner they can't afford." My hands were steady as I reached for my water glass. Inside, I was calculating. Every word was being recorded by my phone in my purse. Travis picked up the leather-bound menu and threw it at me. It hit the table in front of me with a sharp slap that made everyone flinch. You want to know what you are, Savannah? You're a disgrace to the Mitchell name. A complete and utter disappointment. Linda stood up. Travis, that's enough. Sit down, he roared. She sat. $40,000 a year for Harvard. 40,000 for 4 years, and this is what I get? A daughter who makes less than my gardener? He pulled out his wallet, extracted his black Amex, and slammed it on the table. Then, dramatically, he picked it back up. Actually, no. You want to be independent? You want to pretend you don't need the family money? Fine. This dinner, 17 people, premium wine selection, chef's tasting menu, it's probably what, 4,000? Maybe more? He smiled coldly. Consider it your graduation present from the family, because after tonight, you're on your own. He stood, straightening his $3,000 suit. Everyone, we're leaving. Savannah will handle the check. After all, she's an adult with a job. Time she learned what the real world costs. Dad, Marcus started. This isn't. Now, Marcus, unless you want to join your sister in poverty. One by one, they stood. The Harrisons looked mortified. The Weatherbys whispered to each other. As they filed past, my mother slipped her credit card onto my lap under the table, tears streaming down her face. Travis paused at the door for his final blow. A daughter like you should be grateful I even let you sit at my table. Don't bother coming to Christmas. As the door closed behind them, I noticed Rebecca Smith hadn't left immediately. She lingered for exactly 30 seconds, made eye contact, and mouthed, December 15th. Alone in the sudden silence of the Sterling room, I stared at the check the waiter discreetly placed before me. 4,050 salins. 2 months of my take-home pay for one dinner designed to humiliate me. I pulled out my phone. 47 unread emails waited in a folder labeled Evidence. Each one meticulously forwarded from Rebecca over the past 6 months. Contracts with forged signatures. Invoices for services never rendered. Wire transfers to accounts in the Cayman Islands. A new text appeared from Eleanor Hayes, senior partner at Sterling & Associates. Saw the video Sarah posted before she deleted it. Documentation ready whenever you are. Say when. Eleanor had been my study partner at Harvard, now one of Boston's top corporate attorneys. When I'd approached her in October with my suspicions, she'd reviewed everything pro bono. This isn't just fraud, Savannah. This is RICO-level corruption. Your father built his empire on criminal foundations. I opened my laptop, connecting to the restaurant's Wi-Fi. The folder called Insurance contained everything. 247 files organized into subfolders. Tax evasion, fraud, embezzlement, witness testimony. 6 months of careful documentation while pretending to be the family failure. The centerpiece was a screenshot from Mitchell Holdings' internal system, showing a $3.2 million discrepancy between reported earnings and actual transfers. Rebecca had risked everything to get it, using her admin access one night when Travis was at his club. I looked at the bill again, then at my mother's credit card. I pushed the card aside and pulled out my own. As I signed the receipt, I thought, this is the best $4,267 I'll ever spend. It's the price of my freedom and the down payment on justice. My phone buzzed. Marcus. I'm sorry, I should have said something. I typed back. You'll have your chance. December 15th. What Travis never knew was that I wasn't alone in this fight. Over the past 2 years, 5 of his employees had quietly reached out, each with their own story of abuse and their own evidence to share. William Hayes, Eleanor's father, and Mitchell Holdings' CFO, until Travis forced him out in 2019, had kept copies of every suspicious transaction from his tenure. Your grandmother hired me in 1987, he'd told me over coffee. I watched your father destroy everything she built. I've been waiting for someone brave enough to stop him. Rebecca Smith wasn't just collecting emails. She had 2 gigabytes of recorded conversations, legally obtained in Massachusetts's one-party consent state. Your father forgets I'm in the room, she'd explained. He says things in front of me like I'm furniture, criminal things. Then there was Jennifer Walsh from accounting, who Travis had sexually harassed for years. Michael Torres from legal, who'd been ordered to forge documents. David Park from IT, who'd been instructed to delete incriminating files but kept copies instead. But the most surprising ally was someone I'd never expected. 3 weeks ago, my mother had called me, crying. I found something, she'd whispered. In your grandmother's safety deposit box. She left it for you, but I kept it hidden. I was too scared. But after tonight, you need to see this. It was a notarized letter dated 6 months before Grandma's death. To my granddaughter, Savannah. Your father has lost his way. The company I built was meant to create homes for families, not destroy them. If Travis ever threatens the family's legacy through criminal action, use the provision in Article 47. I put it there for you. Love, Eleanor Mitchell. She'd known. Somehow, she'd known it would come to this. The morning after Thanksgiving, Travis's cruelty reached new heights. He posted a family photo on LinkedIn, all 17 people from dinner, expertly photoshopped to remove me entirely. The caption read, "Grateful for successful family members who understand that legacy means earning your place at the table. Mitchell Holdings continues because we don't accept mediocrity. Hash family business, hash success, hash no participation trophies." Within 3 hours, it had 2,147 likes and 186 comments, mostly from Boston's business elite, praising Travis's tough love and high standards. Someone wrote, "This is why Mitchell Holdings dominates. No room for weakness, even in family." Marcus had been tagged, along with his official title and salary range. My absence was deliberate, surgical, a public erasure that said more than words ever could. Then the screenshots started arriving in my inbox. Parents from Whitmore Academy had seen the post. "Is this about you?" asked Jennifer Cartwright, whose daughter was in my class. Another parent, Robert Stein, was more direct. "If your own father doesn't respect you, why should we trust you with our children?" The principal called me at home. "Savannah, I need you to understand the position this puts the school in. We have several Mitchell Holdings executives on our board, and they're concerned." But the cruelest message came from someone unexpected. Rebecca Smith forwarded me an internal company email Travis had sent to all 847 employees. As we approach the holidays, remember that Mitchell Holdings maintains the highest standards in all aspects. This includes our associations. Anyone who fails to meet these standards, professionally or personally, has no place in our organization. This applies to everyone, including family. He'd weaponized his own company against me, turning 847 people into witnesses of my humiliation. December 2nd brought the final insult. Travis sent a family-wide email with the subject line, "Entrepreneur of the Year Gala, Mandatory Attendance." "Family," it began, though I noticed my email was in BCC, not the main recipient list. "As you know, I'll be receiving the New England Entrepreneur of the Year Award on December 15th at the Boston Convention Center. This is the culmination of 40 years building Mitchell Holdings into the empire it is today. Attendance is mandatory for all family members who wish to remain in good standing." He'd CC'd 43 business partners, making it a public summons. Then, at the bottom, visible only to me, "P.S. You're not invited, Savannah. Security will have your photo. Don't embarrass yourself by trying to attend." The gala was Travis's Super Bowl, his coronation. 800 of New England's most powerful business figures would watch him receive the highest honor in regional commerce. 3 news stations would broadcast it live. The governor would deliver remarks. I hit reply all. "Congratulations, Dad. See you there." Within minutes, my phone rang. Travis screaming, "You think this is a game? You show up and I'll have you arrested for trespassing. On what grounds? I asked calmly. It's a public event at a public venue. I'll buy my own ticket. Tickets are $5,000 each and sold out months ago. Then it's fortunate that Whitmore Academy's board director, Mrs. Catherine Whitmore herself, is a platinum sponsor with a table for 12. She's already invited me as her personal guest. The silence stretched so long I thought he'd hung up. Then, in a voice like ice, "You're going to regret this." "No, Dad. For the first time in my life, I don't think I will." December 7th, I sat in the conference room of Sterling and Associates, surrounded by evidence that could destroy an empire. Eleanor Hayes had assembled a team of 3 attorneys, all working pro bono, after reviewing the documentation. "This is bulletproof," Eleanor said, spreading the 312 pages across the mahogany table. "Tax fraud, embezzlement, wire fraud, RICO violations. The IRS whistleblower complaint alone could result in $3.2 million in recovered taxes, plus penalties. We'd verified everything 3 times. The forged signatures matched exemplars from Travis's other documents. The offshore accounts traced directly to Mitchell Holdings' primary accounts. Rebecca's recordings were authenticated by a forensic audio expert. And your grandmother's provision? I asked. Ironclad. I've never seen anything like it. Eleanor Mitchell was a genius. She embedded a poison pill that activates upon criminal conviction of the CEO. 51% of shares automatically transfer to the whistleblower in the family. Your father can't change it. It's in the original incorporation documents filed with the state. Rebecca entered the room, looking nervous but determined. I'm ready to testify. I've already given my notice, effective December 16th. He'll destroy you, I warned. He already has, she replied. But after December 15th, he won't have the power to hurt anyone else. Eleanor pulled up the gala seating chart on her laptop. Travis's table is front and center. The award presentation is scheduled for 8:45 p.m. right after dinner. The governor speaks at 8:30, then introduces Travis. That gives us a 15-minute window. For what? I asked. For the Massachusetts Attorney General and IRS Criminal Investigation Division to serve him with papers. They'll be our guests at Mrs. Whitmore's table. Everything was in place. The evidence, the witnesses, the legal framework. All we needed was the stage. December 15th arrived with a winter storm warning that never materialized, as if nature itself wanted a clear view of what was about to unfold. The Boston Convention Center glowed against the harbor, its glass facade reflecting the city lights like diamonds. I arrived at 7:00 p.m. sharp, wearing a black cocktail dress I'd bought specifically for this moment. Not expensive, but impeccable. Eleanor Hayes flanked my right, briefcase in hand. Mrs. Catherine Whitmore, my unexpected champion, stood at my left. Invitation, please, the security guard said, though his eyes flicked nervously to a photo taped to his podium. My photo, with "Do Not Admit" written beneath it. Mrs. Whitmore stepped forward. She's with me, Catherine Whitmore, platinum sponsor, table 3. Ma'am, I have specific instructions. From whom? Mrs. Whitmore's voice could have frozen fire. I've donated $2 million to this organization. Are you telling me I can't bring my own guests? The guard looked desperately toward the lobby where Travis stood holding court, surrounded by admirers. Our eyes met across the space. His face went from triumph to confusion to rage in 3 seconds. He started toward us, but Robert Harrison, yes, the same Harrison from Thanksgiving, intercepted him. Travis, the governor wants to speak with you about your acceptance speech. 800 of New England's most powerful people filled the ballroom. The stage was set with massive screens that would project the winner's face to every corner. News crews adjusted their cameras. Everything was perfect. Eleanor leaned close. The Attorney General just arrived, table 12, as planned. I watched my father work the room, shaking hands, accepting congratulations for an award he hadn't even received yet. He had no idea that in 90 minutes those same hands would be in handcuffs. At 8:43 p.m. the lights dimmed. The president of the New England Business Alliance took the stage, her voice echoing through the packed ballroom. Ladies and gentlemen, the moment we've all been waiting for. This year's Entrepreneur of the Year exemplifies everything we value: innovation, leadership, and above all, integrity. I almost laughed at the last word. Please welcome Travis Mitchell, CEO of Mitchell Holdings. The room erupted. 800 people rose to their feet, applauding the man who'd built a real estate empire worth $280 million. The standing ovation lasted 2 full minutes while Travis made his way to the stage, stopping to shake hands, his smile broadcast on screens 30 feet high. He took the podium with practiced ease, the Crystal Award glinting in the stage lights. Thank you. Thank you all. You know, my mother, Eleanor Mitchell, started this company with nothing but determination and a belief that family values and business success go hand in hand. Eleanor Hayes gripped my hand under the table. Everything I've built, Travis continued, has been about maintaining the highest standards. In business, you must be willing to make hard choices. Sometimes that means cutting dead weight, even when it's painful, even when it's family. Several people glanced toward our table. They knew he was talking about me. Success isn't just about money, he said, his voice growing passionate. It's about legacy. It's about refusing to accept mediocrity in any form. It's about... Eleanor stood up. The movement was so unexpected that Travis actually stopped mid-sentence. Eleanor Hayes, senior partner at Sterling & Associates, walked toward the stage with her briefcase, her heels clicking against the floor in the sudden silence. "Mr. Mitchell," she said, her voice carrying without a microphone, "I have something you need to see." "I'm sorry to interrupt," Eleanor said, now standing at the base of the stage, "but there's a legal matter that requires immediate attention." Travis laughed nervously. "This is hardly the time." "I'm afraid it is." Eleanor turned to the event president. "May I use the screens? This concerns everyone here who does business with Mitchell Holdings." Before anyone could object, Eleanor's assistant had connected a laptop to the projection system. The first slide appeared 30 feet high. Mitchell Holdings, Forensic Accounting Investigation. The room gasped collectively. "What the hell is this?" Travis snarled into the microphone. The next slide showed spreadsheets, bank statements, highlighted discrepancies, $3.2 million tax fraud, evidence summary. "This is slander," Travis shouted. "Security!" But security didn't move. The Attorney General had stood up at table 12, badge visible. Eleanor continued calmly. "These documents show systematic tax evasion from 2019 to 2024, offshore accounts in the Cayman Islands, falsified invoices, forged signatures on state contracts." The slides kept coming. Email threads between Travis and his accountant discussing hiding the Delaware transfers, wire transfer receipts to shell companies. Rebecca's recorded conversations began playing through the speakers, Travis's own voice discussing how to bury the evidence. "Turn it off!" Travis screamed, but the tech crew seemed frozen. Then came the photos. Travis and Rebecca in the Bahamas, charged to the company as a client meeting, hotel receipts, credit card statements showing personal expenses hidden as business costs. The room had gone from celebration to chaos in 3 minutes. News cameras swung toward the screen, broadcasting the evidence live. Phones came out as 800 business leaders documented the collapse of Travis Mitchell. "IRS Criminal Investigation Division," a voice announced from the back. "Mr. Mitchell, please step down from the stage." Travis tried to run, but there was nowhere to go. The stage had only one exit, and 2 IRS agents now stood there, badges displayed. The cameras kept rolling, broadcasting his panic to 3 local news stations. Eleanor clicked to the next slide. "Violation of fiduciary duty, Article 47, Section 3, Mitchell Holdings Incorporation documents." My grandmother's provision appeared on screen, highlighted in yellow. The room fell silent as 800 people read the clause that would transfer majority ownership to the whistleblower. "That's ancient history," Travis shouted. "It doesn't apply." "Actually, it does," Eleanor turned to face the audience. Savannah Turner provided all this evidence. According to the company's founding documents, she now controls 51% of Mitchell Holdings. The silence was deafening. Then, from table 1, Linda Mitchell stood up. "I want a divorce," she announced, her voice carrying across the ballroom. "Tonight, before you're arrested and try to hide assets." "Linda, sit down. I've been recording you too, Travis. Every threat, every affair, every time you moved money to accounts you thought I didn't know about. My lawyer has everything." Marcus stood next. "I'm resigning as vice president, effective immediately. I won't be part of this anymore." "You ungrateful!" Travis started toward Marcus, but the IRS agent stepped forward. "Mr. Mitchell, you're under arrest for tax evasion, wire fraud, and conspiracy. You have the right to remain silent." As they cuffed him, Travis's eyes found mine across the room. The rage there could have melted steel. "You did this!" he screamed. "You destroyed everything!" I stood slowly, my voice steady and clear. "No, Dad, you did. I just showed everyone who you really are." The cameras captured everything: the handcuffs, the fury, the complete reversal of fortune in front of everyone who'd ever mattered to him. The legal consequences were swift and merciless. As Travis was led out in handcuffs, the president of the New England Business Alliance took the microphone. "The board will be holding an emergency meeting. Effective immediately, Travis Mitchell is stripped of this award and banned from all future events." Eleanor Hayes returned to the microphone. "For those concerned about your contracts with Mitchell Holdings, the company will continue operations under new leadership. The board of directors will meet Monday morning." The board didn't wait until Monday. Within 30 minutes, they'd convened in a conference room adjacent to the ballroom. The vote was unanimous. Travis Mitchell was removed as CEO, effective immediately. Marcus, despite his resignation as VP, was asked to serve as interim CEO. "I'll do it," Marcus announced, "but only if Savannah agrees to serve as chairman of the board." The 51% share transfer was automatic. Grandma's clause was airtight. The company lawyer confirmed it on the spot. Per Article 47, Section 3, upon criminal charges for fiduciary breach, majority ownership transfers immediately to the reporting family member. Savannah Turner now controls Mitchell Holdings. The IRS agents had been thorough. They'd frozen Travis's personal accounts that night, preventing him from hiding assets. The forensic accountants would later find $8.7 million in unreported income and $3.2 million in direct tax evasion. "The whistleblower reward alone will be substantial," the lead agent told me, "possibly 10 to 30% of recovered funds." But the most satisfying moment came when Robert Harrison approached our table. "Ms. Turner, I owe you an apology and a thank you. We were about to invest $30 million with your father. You saved us from a criminal enterprise." By midnight, 23 missed calls lit up my phone. All from Travis, all from jail. By the time I got home at 1 a.m., the news had exploded across Boston. Mitchell Holdings CEO arrested at own award ceremony dominated every local news site. The video of Travis screaming, "You did this," had already garnered 847,000 views on Twitter. Within 20 minutes of the arrest, 47 business partners had called Mitchell Holdings' emergency hotline to suspend their contracts pending review. The stock price, in after-hours trading, plummeted 34% before stabilizing when Marcus announced he would honor all legitimate contracts. The Boston Business Journal ran a special digital edition at 2 a.m. Empires Fall: How a Teacher Toppled a $280 million real estate dynasty. They'd somehow gotten a photo of me at the gala, standing calm while chaos erupted around me. Travis's country club released a statement by 3 a.m. "Effective immediately, Mr. Travis Mitchell's membership has been revoked for conduct unbecoming of our institution's values." Rebecca Smith called at 4 a.m. from an FBI field office. "I've been wearing a wire for 3 months," she revealed. "The FBI approached me after you started gathering evidence. Travis threatened a federal judge's family over a zoning dispute. They needed someone inside." The U.S. Attorney's Office released a statement at dawn. This investigation has been ongoing for 6 months. We thank Ms. Turner for her courage in coming forward. Without whistleblowers, white-collar crime would go unpunished. By morning, Travis's fall was complete. Every news station led with the story. The Herald's headline was brutal. From Entrepreneur of the Year to Federal Inmate in 15 minutes. My phone showed 53 messages of support from Mitchell Holdings employees. One stood out, from the janitor who'd worked there 20 years. Your grandmother would be proud. She always said you were the only honest Mitchell left. The personal consequences for Travis were even more devastating than the legal ones. Linda's divorce attorney had been prepared for months, filing papers at 8 a.m. Monday with detailed documentation of hidden assets worth $140 million. I've been planning this for 2 years, Linda told me over coffee that week. Your evidence gave me the courage to finally act. The divorce settlement was swift and brutal. Linda got the Beacon Hill mansion, the Nantucket house, the investment portfolio, and half of Travis's remaining legitimate assets. Travis, with his accounts frozen and legal fees mounting, couldn't fight it. Rebecca Smith testified before the grand jury in exchange for immunity. Her 2 gigabytes of recordings included Travis discussing bribes, threatening competitors, and planning to destroy evidence. She relocated to Seattle with a new job and a restraining order against Travis. The IRS audit revealed more than anyone expected. Travis owed $3.2 million in back taxes plus $4.8 million in penalties. His personal assets were liquidated to pay the debt, the Porsche, the yacht, the art collection, all gone to auction. By February, Travis was living in a 2-bedroom apartment in Quincy, his ankle monitor preventing him from leaving Massachusetts. The man who'd once spent $4,100 on a single dinner now survived on court-mandated living expenses of $2,000 per month. You destroyed me, he said during our one phone call from jail. Are you happy now? I didn't destroy you, Dad. I just stopped enabling you. The company was everything. No, I interrupted. The company was Grandma's. You corrupted it. Marcus and I are going to restore what she built, a business based on integrity, not intimidation. He hung up. It was the last time we spoke. Monday morning, I walked back into my 3rd-grade classroom at Whitmore Academy to find 24 handmade cards on my desk. We love you, Ms. Turner. You're brave. Thank you for being our teacher. The other teachers gave me a standing ovation at the staff meeting. You stood up to a bully, said Mrs. Chen, the kindergarten teacher. That's what we teach our kids to do. The principal called me into her office. 3 Fortune 500 companies have called asking if you'd consider executive positions. The lowest offer was $500,000 per year. And I told them Savannah Turner is exactly where she belongs, teaching children the values that really matter. I'd already made my decision. With my 51% ownership of Mitchell Holdings now worth approximately $142 million, I could do anything. But Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 3 p.m., I was Ms. Turner, 3rd-grade teacher, helping 8-year-olds discover the joy of reading. The company profits would go to better use now. I established the Eleanor Mitchell Education Foundation with an initial endowment of $50 million. Every teacher in Massachusetts could apply for classroom grants. No more spending personal money on supplies. You know you're one of the richest women in Boston now, Marcus said during our first board meeting. I've always been rich, I replied. I had a grandmother who loved me, students who need me, and the courage to stand up for what's right. Dad never understood that wealth isn't measured in dollars. The Whitmore parents who'd questioned my competence after Travis's LinkedIn post, they personally apologized. Robert Stein donated $100,000 to my foundation. Your father was wrong, he said. You're not a disgrace, you're an inspiration. The family transformation was remarkable to witness. Marcus implemented sweeping changes at Mitchell Holdings within the first month: ethical business practices, employee profit sharing, and a zero-tolerance policy for harassment. Employee satisfaction scores jumped 67% in 6 months. I spent years becoming him, Marcus told me during a family dinner, one where Travis was notably absent. Watching him fall apart made me realize I was heading toward the same cliff. Linda bloomed in Travis's absence. She enrolled in art classes at the Museum of Fine Arts, started therapy, and began laughing again, really laughing, not the practiced social laugh she'd perfected over 30 years. I haven't felt this free since I was 25, she said, showing me her latest watercolor. Before I met your father and lost myself. The extended family reached out one by one. Cousins who'd been afraid to cross Travis, aunts and uncles who'd been cut off for minor slights. We wanted to support you, Aunt Patricia said, but Travis controlled everything. We were all afraid. Family dinners resumed, but now they were potlucks at Marcus's house, with kids running around and genuine conversation replacing Travis's monologues about success. Emma and James, Marcus's children, finally saw what a healthy family looked like. Aunt Sav, Emma said one evening, Daddy doesn't yell anymore, and Grandma smiles real smiles now. 6 months into the new order, a letter arrived from federal prison. Travis's handwriting, still commanding even on institutional stationery. I held it unopened for 3 days before Eleanor Hayes offered to read it first. He wants to see you, she said. He says he's had time to think. And that's all. No apology, no acknowledgement, just a demand disguised as reflection. I filed the letter with the others, 17 in total, all unopened except the first. 6 months after the gala, Mitchell Holdings had transformed completely. Marcus proved to be the CEO the company needed, ethical, innovative, and collaborative. The company's reputation recovered, then soared. We landed 3 major city contracts specifically because clients trusted our new leadership. Revenue is up 12%, Marcus reported at our quarterly board meeting, but more importantly, we haven't had a single ethics complaint. Employee turnover dropped to nearly 0. The anonymous surveys showed something remarkable. People actually loved working for Mitchell Holdings now. It's like a completely different company, one employee wrote. We can finally be proud of where we work. I established the Savannah Turner Scholarship Fund, providing full Harvard tuition for teachers pursuing advanced degrees. The first recipient was a kindergarten teacher from Roxbury who wanted her MBA to start an education nonprofit. Travis was sentenced to 3 years in minimum security federal prison, with possibility of parole in 18 months. The judge called his crimes a betrayal of business ethics and family trust on a staggering scale. The company therapist we'd hired for employees revealed something interesting. 15 people have come forward with stories of Travis's abuse over the years. You weren't just saving yourself, you saved all of them too. My therapy sessions with Dr. Martinez took on a different tone. You're not trying to survive anymore, she observed. You're learning how to thrive. The $4,200 restaurant receipt sat framed in my home office, a reminder of the night everything changed. Below it, I'd added a plaque. The cost of freedom is always worth paying. But the biggest change was internal. For the first time in my life, I didn't wake up dreading family obligations or questioning my worth. I'd chosen myself, and that choice had rippled outward, freeing everyone Travis had trapped in his toxic orbit. Establishing boundaries with the family required careful architecture, like building a house that could weather any storm. I wrote them down, had them notarized, and sent copies to every family member. First, no discussion of salaries, net worth, or financial comparisons at family gatherings. We measure success by happiness, not bank accounts, the document stated. Second, every career choice deserves respect. Whether you're a CEO or a teacher, a doctor or an artist, your worth isn't determined by your paycheck. Third, public humiliation results in immediate exclusion from family events. No exceptions, no second chances in the same year. Fourth, participation in family therapy was mandatory for anyone wanting access to family trust funds. Healing isn't optional, I explained. It's the price of admission to our new family culture. Fifth, children would be protected from adult conflicts. No more using them as pawns or exposing them to toxic dynamics. The response was mixed but telling. Marcus embraced every rule. Linda cried with relief. Some cousins pushed back. "This feels controlling," one said. "No," I replied. "Controlling was Travis demanding we all worship his success. This is protective. There's a difference." Uncle Richard, Travis's brother, surprised everyone by saying, "I've waited 40 years for someone to stand up to him." These rules should have existed when Mom was alive. The monthly family therapy sessions, led by Dr. Patricia Reeves, became sacred time. Even skeptics admitted they felt safer with professional guidance navigating our complex dynamics. "Boundaries aren't walls," Dr. Reeves explained to the group. "They're property lines. They tell people where they can and cannot step. Savannah hasn't locked you out. She's shown you how to enter respectfully." 3 months in, even the resistors had come around. The family was smaller. Some chose Travis's side, but it was healthier. Looking back, the math was simple and devastating. The cost of standing up to Travis, one $4,200 restaurant bill, 6 months of secret evidence gathering, and the complete destruction of a relationship that had been toxic from the start. What I gained: freedom from emotional terrorism, $142 million in company ownership, respect from 800 business leaders who witnessed my courage, and most importantly, the knowledge that my worth was never dependent on Travis's approval. What I lost: nothing of value. The father who'd humiliated me wasn't worth keeping. The family members who chose his side were revealing their own character, not judging mine. What I found: a mother who could finally breathe, a brother who remembered how to be kind, nieces and nephews who would grow up without fear, and a community of supporters I never knew existed. The lesson was crystalline. Sometimes burning bridges doesn't leave you stranded, it lights the path forward. Every relationship Travis had torched in his pursuit of dominance became a beacon guiding me toward justice. I kept his final voicemail, sent the day before his sentencing. "You may have won this round, but you'll never be anything more than a teacher. You'll never be what I was." He was right. I would never be what he was: a criminal, an abuser, a man so empty that he needed to destroy others to feel powerful. I would be what Grandma Eleanor had been: honest, principled, and brave enough to stand against tyranny, even when it wore a familiar face. Every Thanksgiving since, our smaller, healthier family raises a toast to boundaries, to truth, and to choosing ourselves. The $4,200 receipt hangs in my office, not as a symbol of humiliation, but as proof of purchase for the most valuable thing I ever bought: my freedom. To everyone watching who recognizes themselves in this story, who sits at family dinners counting the insults, who's been told they're not enough by people who should love them unconditionally, I need you to hear this. Your worth is not negotiable. Boundaries aren't about punishment. They're about protection. When I cut Travis out of my life, I wasn't being cruel. I was being clear. Some people earn access to your life through respect and love. Others forfeit it through abuse and manipulation. Family doesn't exempt anyone from basic human decency. You don't owe loyalty to people who publicly humiliate you. You don't owe forgiveness to those who never apologize. You don't owe access to anyone who treats your presence like a burden and your absence like a victory. It's never too late to choose yourself. I was 32 when I finally stood up to Travis. Some of you might be 22, some 62. The age doesn't matter. The courage does. Document everything. Build your support network. Find your Eleanor Hayes, that one friend who believes you deserve better. Trust that when you finally stand up, others will stand with you. I discovered 15 employees who'd been waiting for someone to go first. Maybe you'll be that person for someone else. The path isn't easy. There will be moments when you question everything, when the familiar dysfunction seems easier than the unknown freedom. Push through. The other side of fear isn't emptiness, it's peace. That receipt for $4,200? It wasn't the bill for a dinner. It was the price of admission to my new life. And honestly, it was a bargain. Your story might not end with millions of dollars or public vindication, but it can end with something priceless: the knowledge that you chose yourself when it mattered most. If this story resonated with you, please share it with someone who needs to hear that it's okay to set boundaries with toxic family. Subscribe to follow more stories about finding your worth and standing in your truth. Drop a comment below about your own boundary setting victories. Your courage might inspire someone else to choose themselves. And remember, you don't owe anyone access to your life who doesn't respect your worth. Until next time, choose yourself.